Hello, my name is Amber Pierdinock, and these are my responses for my video interview with Gustavus Adolphus College. Closed captioning is available on this video, and a transcript of my responses will be provided. Question 1. Tell us about your background and experiences. Why are you applying for this position? What interests you about working at Gustavus, a 4-year residential liberal arts college? I recently graduated with my MLIS from the University of Maryland, College Park. While at UMD, I was a research and teaching fellow, where I gained a lot of experience in providing student-centered library instruction, providing reference services to undergraduate and graduate students and faculty, and leading a monthly journal club for librarians on campus. In my personal life, as a fun fact about me, I perform improv comedy with my improv group, the Ladies of Book Club, throughout Washington, D.C. And yes, we are all really in a book club together. I'm interested in the visiting instructor and academic librarian position at Gustavus Adolphus College because I absolutely love working with undergraduates, especially first-year students who are my favorite student group to work with. I was very excited when reading the job posting, especially when it mentioned that Gustavus Adolphus defines teaching as reference, instruction, and collection development. This aligns with my personal teaching philosophy that teaching does not always need to occur within the physical classroom. My goal as a teacher and a librarian is to make students feel empowered when searching for information. Teaching and learning does not happen only in the vacuum of a classroom. I was attracted to Gustavus Adolphus College as an institution because of its small size. I am looking for a position in a smaller college so that I have more opportunities to develop deeper relationships with students. I also felt like your vision statement was very closely aligned with my own values as a librarian. I'm very passionate about setting students up to be lifelong learners and embedding information literacy skills across the curriculum for all subject areas, because it is a skill that students will need repeated exposure to. Question 2. How do you see this 2-year position fitting in with your future plans? As an early career librarian, this 2-year position fits in with my future plans because it will give me more experience providing information literacy instruction to undergraduate students, which is my favorite part about librarianship, but in a different type of library than my previous experience. My previous experience in libraries has been at the University of Maryland, which is an extremely large public institution where librarianship is incredibly siloed. Librarians have stayed working within their unit, and they do not get many opportunities for collaboration outside of their unit. I'm extremely interested in working at a smaller institution where the librarians have the opportunity to take on more tasks. I do have a lot of experience in reference and instruction. However, there are other aspects of librarianship that I'm interested in gaining experience in, namely collection development and liaison responsibilities. The visiting instructor and academic librarian position will allow me to strengthen my teaching and reference skills while also developing new ones. I also believe that having experience working at both a very large and a small institution will give me better insight into what sort of library I want to work in permanently. I also feel like having experience in both a large and small institutions will make me a more well-rounded librarian. My goal is to one day run a teaching and learning unit in an academic library, and I believe my experience as the visiting instructor and academic librarian will be instrumental in achieving this goal. Question 3. This position will involve teaching class sessions and one-on-one reference and teaching. What can you tell me about your experience and interest in teaching undergraduates? Please provide some specific examples. I absolutely love working with undergraduate students. They are my favorite student group to work with, especially first-year students. I find undergraduates so fun to work with because I think it's really exciting to work with students during a transitional time in their lives, where they are given the freedom to choose what they are interested in studying and researching and drawing their own conclusions based on what they're looking at. I have extensive experience teaching class sessions and providing one-on-one research consultations to undergraduate students. As a research and teaching fellow at UMD, I was responsible for planning, teaching, and assessing 15 to 20 information literacy one-shot sessions each semester for first-year students in UMD's academic writing program. I had the opportunity to teach information literacy sessions to all types of first-year students, from English as a second language students to honor students. I have experience in all aspects of the instructional design process, from developing learning outcomes to assessment on the individual and programmatic levels. As a research and teaching fellow, I also had the freedom to create my own lesson plans and active learning activities for my classes. Each information literacy one-shot that I have taught has been customized to suit the needs of each individual class, to ensure that students were receiving an instruction session that was relevant to their class assignments and their skill set. I began my design process by having the course instructor fill out a Google form with some information about their class, a copy of their syllabus, any assignments that the information literacy one-shot was meant to supplement, and specific skills that they wanted me to cover. With this information, I would design a one-shot session that was largely discussion-based with some active learning activities included. Some example lesson plans that I have taught to students in the academic writing program include concept mapping as a method of developing a research question, evaluating the authority of sources, developing keywords for searching for primary sources, and database demonstrations. After teaching, I often have students reach out to me for one-on-one research consultations to expand upon what has been discussed in the classroom. I have done one-on-one consultations with students in a variety of formats, including face-to-face, over email, and over Zoom. I also have experience in providing reference services to students at UMD through multiple mediums, including face-to-face at the reference desk, via online chat using SpringShare's LibAnswers, and over the phone. While most of my teaching experience has been in teaching first-year students in UMD's academic writing program, I have had the opportunity to teach several subject-specific information literacy sessions. Alongside UMD's architecture librarian, I had the opportunity to teach in information literacy sessions to undergraduate and graduate level architecture students. For the undergraduate students, I led them through an introduction to the Turabian citation style, which is UMD's standard citation style for the School of Architecture. We also covered how to search for architecture-specific resources in UMD's catalog and how to navigate these subject-specific databases. For the graduate students, I worked with thesis-level students, helping them find library resources that would help them complete their graduate thesis, such as UMD's institutional repository and some more advanced architecture databases. Question 4. What do you find most challenging about the teaching roles of librarians? How have you, or would you, addressed any specific challenges or issues that arise? What I find most challenging about the teaching role of librarians is the one-shot model. And I think all librarians can agree on the difficulty that the one-shot model presents. We do not get the opportunity to develop relationships with students. We need to cram a lot of information, some of which that is brand new to students, in a very short amount of time. We rarely get any sort of formal follow-up with students, and we are not privy to the class dynamic inside of the classroom. It's very difficult to teach a class that is centered around student discussion when that might not be their usual classroom dynamic with their instructor. What I have found helpful to address some of the problems with the one-shot model is making sure that I have an open line of communication with the instructor. Prior to every class that I teach, I will ask the instructor to complete a short Google form where I will ask for a copy of their syllabus, what assignment they're working on if the lesson is meant to supplement a particular assignment, if any student needs a reasonable accommodation that I would need to be aware of, and a short sentence if there's anything that the class is struggling with, and the instructor would specifically like me to cover. I found this strategy to be extremely effective because it gives me some idea of where the class is before I meet them. While teaching online is difficult, I have found that what I like about teaching online is that the students' names appear on the screen when they join the class. This has given me the opportunity to call students by their names in class, which I feel like leads to a more engaged class. In my experience, I've noticed that students are more engaged and willing to respond in a discussion when they are referred to by name. It also gives me some familiarity with the students and makes me feel less like a one-time visitor in their class. Something that I would like to try when we go back to teaching in person once again is to have students write their name on a reusable name tag so that I can have the same experience of referring to students by name in the classroom. As a librarian, I understand that information literacy skills cannot possibly be taught effectively in one class session. This is why I always stress to my classes that my entire job is centered around supporting students in their coursework and give students multiple opportunities to find ways of contacting me or get support in the library. I want to make sure that students understand that they will be able to get support from a librarian anytime in their college career, and that my support as a librarian does not end once they exit my classroom. Question 5. Gustavus has a strong commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. What ideas do you have about the ways that the library can contribute to initiatives in this area? I think that the library is in a position where they can contribute to initiatives in diversity, equity, and inclusion on campus. Libraries are situated in a really precarious position. We have control over what information our students and our faculty do and do not have access to, and can control how that information is being presented, which is an enormous responsibility. I think that some of the ways that the library can contribute to initiatives in diversity, equity, and inclusion could be to regularly assess the diversity of the collection, including their databases. Librarians can ask themselves whether or not they're seeing diverse voices in their collection, paying close attention to ensuring that authors of own voices are being represented in the collection. The library could then work to actively promote these resources within their collection to students and faculty as a way to diversify their research. In contrast, the library can also work with students and faculty to ensure that their lived experiences are being represented in the collection. This can be done through having open forums or discussion groups about how the library can better represent the diversity of their students and the diversity of different research fields. Within library instruction, librarians can also embed social justice themes into their teaching. This can be done in very small, manageable ways, such as intentionally using a social justice issue as an example for a database demonstration, or discussing what it means to have some information trapped behind a paywall and who is able to access that information. The library can also commit to promoting open educational resources to faculty as a method to make course materials more affordable for students, thus narrowing any gaps in which students can afford to take certain courses with more expensive materials in comparison to the students who cannot. OER and affordable course materials is something that I am very interested in and passionate about. There's a breadth of research that links student success to affordable course materials. And I think it is the responsibility of the library to educate faculty about the benefits of quality OER to provide affordable course materials for students when available. The library can also ensure that their collection and services are accessible to faculty and staff. This includes physical accessibility of the buildings and the stacks, ensuring that all students and faculty can independently use the library, as well as also ensuring that their website and online materials are accessible to students and faculty. In terms of digital accessibility, this can be as simple as running new web pages through software like Wave before they are published online, ensuring that every video is properly captioned and adding alt text to images. Question 6. Our library has a collegial management structure. How do you see yourself working in an environment that is often collaborative, but will also call for you to be self-directed in your work? An environment that is often collaborative but allows me to be self-directed in my work is my ideal working environment. I have thrived in this kind of work environment. I love to collaborate with my colleagues formally on projects and informally workshopping new ideas, but I also like to be able to control the structure of my day. I have worked in this kind of environment in several of my previous positions, both as a research and teaching fellow at UMD and as a senior on-site associate at the advisory board. Both positions were situated in collaborative, team-based environments. However, most of our work was done independently. In both of those positions, I had deadlines and deliverables that I was expected to meet and produce, but I was able to do those in a self-directed manner, finding an organizational structure that worked best for me. I believe that library work is meant to be collaborative, especially when doing work such as instruction or reference. As a research and teaching fellow, I was working in a highly collaborative space where fellows would often work together to workshop new ideas and plan lessons together. This allowed us to learn from one another and try new methods of teaching one-shot sessions to students. It was an environment in which we could all share our successes and our failures in the classroom. For as collaborative as we were also expected to be largely self-directed. I was independently responsible for the classes that I taught, for my weekly reference shifts, and for organizing and leading a monthly journal club with other campus librarians. I was extremely comfortable in managing all aspects of my job responsibilities independently. I was allowed to set my own personal deadlines for my work, and I felt like this structure allowed me to better manage my workload. As a former event planner, I am a strong believer in a color-coded calendar and a weekly to-do list to keep myself organized and on task. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch my video for my interview for the visiting instructor and academic librarian at Gustavus Adolphus College. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.